What's up, you guys? It's Alexis. Welcome back to my channel. I'm very surprised I'm actually saying that twice in a week, okay? We love consistency. Today's video is going to be a very kind of short little ranty type video. I kind of talked about this on my TikTok about how I wanted to do like a little series kind of bringing you guys with me to New York Fashion Week because I am going this year. I'm really excited, by the way. But a lot of you guys have been asking me, how do you go to New York Fashion Week? I made a previous video about this. I kind of talked about, I think, how I got my internships for the first time ever going. And if you haven't seen that, I'll put it somewhere on the screen so you guys can check that out. Come back to this one because we're gonna like continue on with the conversation. That literally was like a year ago. But today I'm gonna really talk about like the basis of anything that really comes to my head that I think is like really important, because I can't really do like a sit down tell all type video because every year it's like something's different. Fashion Week is not how it used to be like 2 years ago because, you know, like I said, things are always changing, especially in the fashion world. I think it's easier to get into events now than it's ever been because the landscape of what's inclusive is now more open. New York Fashion Week is more of an open type event. Anybody can really go. So while I get ready, do my edges, fix my hair a little bit because I'm about to go out, we're gonna do a little talk. I got you. Because it's not too late to go, right? It's not too late. I've already started working on my hair. If you guys are new to my channel, hi, I'm Alexis. I'm a creative director, creative, and designer. I do just about everything. And welcome to my crazy, beautiful life. It gets crazy around here, it really does. Okay, the first thing we're gonna be talking about is how do you go to Fashion Week? Where do you start to even go to Fashion Week? The first thing I'm gonna tell you guys, when it comes to things like flights and transportation, that is always the first thing you should figure out. If you are taking a plane, get that plane ticket. If you are taking the bus, get that bus ticket. I've always taken a plane. I live in Alabama, so there was like no other way I was gonna go. I wasn't gonna drive. That's like crazy. That's really insane. My dad does transportation for a living and he drives to New York all the time, so I can't even begin to imagine a drive. But plane tickets are usually very, very cheap. 2 to 3 months out, every hotel knows about Fashion Week. I'm pretty sure every flight knows about Fashion Week. Expect the prices to really go up at least like a couple weeks before Fashion Week. Fashion Week this year is, well, I'm going September 11th through the 15th. So it's gonna be that week bleeding into the next week. So yeah, I definitely would say by the time this video is up, you should definitely have gotten some type of transportation to Fashion Week. Oh my gosh, look at that swoop. Y'all see that swoop? Yeah. Next question I get a lot of people asking me about is how do I do like partnerships with like hotels if you are an influencer and you are trying to go to New York Fashion Week and you're really trying to do some type of like collaboration with some type of housing. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I have never tried to do that myself. I've always kind of just either gotten a hotel or an Airbnb. This year, we actually got an Airbnb. I do know a couple people that have kind of worked with hotels. That is where you're going to have to really like pitch yourself to a certain hotel. If there's a hotel that you want to work with, I'm actually gonna tell you guys a really quick story time about the time I actually got my plane ticket from one of those people that can get you like cheap plane tickets. And I ended up spending like $170 on a one-way and it wasn't even a ticket back. I didn't see it until I was in New York and I was like, oh. So a big do not try to get cheap tickets from somebody, not unless you know like they're like legit. And make sure you have a plane ride home too. Not just there, but back. I do think that's where you will have to write like a pitch email and kind of just sell yourself, kind of give them a reason to want to work with you. So like I'll put an example somewhere on the screen. This is also something that one influencer I do follow, her name is Asa. She's really good at kind of giving me tips on like how to write emails and like pitch yourself, even not even just for like for influencer things, but if you're trying to get like an internship. Right. Even if you're trying to get like an internship, a volunteer opportunity, anything like that, you're gonna like need to like write an email and like a pitch email. Another thing is when it does come to like housing, child, I can talk about this for hours because I will tell you, them hotel prices are not cheap. they are not cheap. They have never been cheap. It's like every day just keep going up and up and up. And it's like, okay, we're in a recession, first off. Sometimes it's even better to stay on the outskirts of New York itself. Like one year I did stay in New Jersey, which I'm not gonna lie, I don't really recommend staying in New Jersey, especially for Fashion Week, especially if you have trouble reading maps and stuff. Not even just maps, but you will have to take like either an Amtrak and then take a train, or you could just take the easy route and take an Uber, but that's gonna run it up. That's gonna cost a lot. So be prepared if you are staying in like New Jersey, anywhere like on the outskirts of where Fashion Week's gonna be. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of traveling for you. I'm not saying like don't stay in New Jersey, but just be prepared to have to like download some apps that can help you get there, because you will have to take like an Amtrak, you have to take a train. There actually was one time I was headed to this event that Vogue was having, and I took the train. I took an Uber to the train, took the train to another train, and somehow I made it to Times Square in one piece. So that's amazing. I always kind of say book like your housing, that should be like next to your transportation. First like your plane ticket and then like where you're gonna stay. Always book like 3 or 4 months in advance, those actual like high prices, you know what I mean? Okay, let's move on to the next thing. And the most exciting part, which I know people are really trying to figure out, is how to go to events and how to get into the big shows and things of that nature. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. Remember how earlier I said it's really easy to get into a lot of events during Fashion Week? Well, there are limitations. Well, obviously there are limitations, but we're gonna break it down. The one thing I absolutely love about Fashion Week is the independent shows. If no one's talked to you about independent shows, a lot of people have this misconception that Fashion Week is only about the big name brands. When they drop the schedule, those are always going to be like the big name Fashion Week, you know, official Fashion Week shows. But the beautiful part about New York and other places as well, there are things called independent designers that exist, and they are so eager and wanting you to participate at their shows, to come to their shows. So how do you find these independent designers? Nowadays, TikTok is probably the best way that I find independent shows to go to, because like I said, people are wanting fashion lovers to come to their shows, right? And some of them will be free. I think some of them do cost money, but they're not expensive. The underground fashion scene is probably my favorite part of like the fashion scene in New York. One city I feel like definitely has like some of the best shows is Brooklyn. That is like best place to go during Fashion Week. I also use things like Threads to find events, and I also made a video about this on my TikTok, how Posh and Eventbrite, those are literally the gemstones to where to find events. Back to like big name brands like Louis Vuitton or Who Decides War, it's one of those things where some of those brands, they will let you attend, but they'll either do like a really quick post about it. Like sometimes these brands are looking for influencers to attend, and it comes with their limitations. Obviously, like you have to have a certain amount of followers and things like that. Interning with a big brand, obviously you're gonna be able to go to the show. They are kind of like an invite only type thing, and that's how it's kind of always been. But I think the only limitations are obviously like nowadays, like influencers, like really influential people. Well, I can't even really say that. Sometimes I be questioning who on the front row too. What is it that, I guess like what you can offer to attending the show? Sometimes some people in fashion PR will post about, you know, them looking for people to come to the fashion show. Maybe just like, it may just be like a standing thing, but like you're still there. Who Decides War last year did a fashion show where you didn't have to buy a ticket. It was just first come, first serve. And it was really hard to get into that one. That was like in the far, far, far back. If there's an independent brand that you like, they probably will be like at Fashion Week, just not under the actual umbrella of like Fashion Week. So yeah, places like Threads, Posh, Eventbrite, Instagram, especially Posh. Posh has some crazy events on there. There is an independent designer that I'm like so obsessed with. I love her style of design. Her name is Olivia Sade, and she had an event last year for her fashion brand, and it was on Posh. Very independent, very like underground, but like that's my style. I really like that style of like fashion in the fashion world. And so yeah, I got to go to that. I always tell people don't have really high hopes. I think the main part that people even go to Fashion Week is just to network, get to know and get to meet other people. And a lot of people do like little creator meetups and like little meetups in general. It's really nice. It's really nice. Definitely keep up with your fave fashion brands like Instagram, because I'm telling you, they're gonna make a post and you're gonna be like, oh dang, I could have made it to that. Like, Who Decides War, I think it was like my biggest, like, okay, they understand. I feel like it's very beautiful in New York, and I just feel like an outside show would be very nice, you know. This might be my last topic for this video, but how do you find internships? How do you find volunteer opportunities and things like that? So I'm gonna tell you guys, the first event that I ever went to, it was Arts Heart Fashion, and I interned for them. It was actually through, and I mentioned her earlier in this video, Asa. I'm telling you guys, New York-based creators that literally work in fashion and post things of this nature. I'm gonna put some other people on the screen as well. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna be doing this. I always say a lot of people that work in fashion PR, they may be working for a company that is looking for people to like help out. So keep an eye out for that. The main place I look for other Fashion Week like opportunities is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like the place, and I'm gonna throw this in there as well because I think it's also helpful. Indeed, but you gotta be careful with Indeed because sometimes people put up like fake postings, so you have to really do your research and make sure. Fashion companies will like post things on LinkedIn because that's kind of like the place where you find jobs and things like that. I'm also going to throw in Threads as well. Threads is like, I'm telling you guys, Threads is, it sounds aggravating. Threads is aggravating. A lot of people that work in fashion post on there as well, so look into Threads. And keywords to find events: New York Fashion Week opportunities, NYFW opportunities 2025. Don't forget the year. What else? I'll put some other words on the screen if I can think of them. Yeah. Always make yourself very obvious too. If you apply for a position, let's say if you find something on LinkedIn and you fill out the application, don't just stop there. You already know they DMs be really flooded. There's always something coming in. People are literally trying to get the same position as you. So to make yourself stand out, that's kind of where pitching emails come in, pitching yourself and kind of putting an emphasis on, hey, I applied, just letting you know, here's my resume and here's my CV, all of that. And just make yourself very, very clear and concise, and that you're eager, that you really want to, you know, work for this company. I feel like in 2025 it's really accessible to find positions to do, and also with the rise of independent designers also need help as well. So any type of fashion experience that you can get in Fashion Week, I very much highly recommend. Okay, I'm trying to see if there's anything else I can think of before I go. I think that's really everything I wanted to cover and kind of like touch bases on. But yeah, if you guys have any other questions, please comment down below and let me know. I'll definitely be posting more as we get closer to Fashion Week, because it's only August. It's only like what, August 15th? Yes, August 15th. So technically we're at a month until Fashion Week. So start getting your budget together. Oh, also get a budget. I personally say around $700. I feel like $700 is a pretty fair amount. Also, if you're planning to do some shopping, you need some money to do the shopping, and then also to get food, because food is hella expensive. Yeah, I think that's really everything I can think of. Like I said, if you guys want me to make a different video, kind of like going to like detail about more things, let me know. I'll do my best. I'm still learning. This is like my 5th time going, but I'm still learning. Every time I go, it's like something new, and it's like I'm becoming a New York native at this point, period. Take me back. Love you guys. Don't forget to follow me on all my socials. Also, if you guys like to support independent designers, I'm a designer. I have a clothing brand called Raw Theory. We're a sustainable fashion brand, and we're killing it right now. We're doing campaigns, we're doing the whole shebang. It's a really fun time. But yeah, I'm gonna go. I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.